Thank you very much for your work over there and for that report as well. Thanks. Well, now to more harrowing stories of escape. That's what it is. It's escape, and it is dangerous and difficult. We want to hear from refugees in their own words now. Maria Sorokomova, her girlfriend Asia Sushina, and her daughter Nadia are one of the many families who have fled Ukraine and headed to the Czech Republic. They left their home in Kharkiv on February 24th, escaped together with their dog after spending 54 hours on a bus, 2 days in a village in western Ukraine, and then taking a train. They finally arrived in the Czech Republic and are now at a hotel, and they join us now. Maria and Asia join us. And Maria, welcome to both of you. I'm very happy to see you. I must say, we've never met, but I'm happy to see that you're safe and sound and well, and thank you for being with us. So, Maria, if I could ask you, tell us about the challenge. I just described it, the basic facts of it, the challenges that you faced on your journey escaping Ukraine. Can you express what that's like for you?
Like the first thing was it's like this morning in Kharkiv, then we realized that the war began, and we had no cash money at all. And we know that at war you cannot pay by your card usually. So we run to the ATMs and spend all morning checking one by one, but we were able to take some money. The second big challenge for us was to get the bus actually to find a way to escape, because my current employer hadn't provided us with some way to escape the city, and the transport was not going anywhere. Buses were stopped, and so I asked my future employer, I just accepted their offer. I haven't worked for them even a day, and I asked them if they rescue their employees, and they said yes. And on the last bus there was a place for us, and we arrived in time on the bus, but the bus waited 4 hours more. They were staying near the metro station, and in the charts this bunch of messages that there will be bombs falling to the city. You need to hide. You need to go to the safe place. And they are sitting in the bus near the road, and they in the bus to just start riding. And armored cars moving across the window. It was Ukrainian cars, but first in the life I saw them not a museum, but crossing the street nearby. Then this our bus was the last one from that company, and the people who get there are the people with animals. So we had 3 dogs in our bus and 6 cats.
Oh. And sorry, the last bus out. And as I said, we are very glad that you made it. And if I could ask Asia, now that you're there, what's life like for you? How do you spend your days? What's going through your mind and heart now?
I'm running for documents and other stuff, and I'm terribly grateful for all people who helped us. We was going to helping center, and just some citizen of Brno, where we are now, helped us for no reason, just because we are Ukrainian, and to give us money for food for our dog and so on.
It's not we are in the bad position. We actually we're pretty lucky, more lucky than most of the others who left Ukraine at the moment. But it's everyone is asking, can we help you? Do you need food for your dog? Do you need water? Do you need place to stay? And sorry.
There's your dog.
Okay.
I want to say to you that the whole world is with you and all Ukrainians right now because of what's happening in your country. And so, what is your hope for your life and for Ukraine? What do you see? What's your hope ahead?
Actually, most of us currently on the internet, we are hoping that the sky of Ukraine will be closed from the Russian planes, because reading every day in my chat, okay, my house was bombarded, I have no flat anymore. Then second employer, my colleague saying, okay, my flat was also destroyed, and the next, it feels really, my parents are still safe, their flat is still there, but the feeling is awful. And however, Ukrainian army doing amazing job protecting the city. I hope that we will find someone to help us to stop all this. And I hope we will find a way to finally rescue all those others who are in Ukraine currently on war, and people who try to protect Russia and Belarus from this awful regime, who spend their months and years trying to protest from all of this, and they failed, and now they have this. I hope everything will stop and we will live all in peace.
I think the whole world hopes that. And I see your daughter Nadia in there. How's she doing?
Yeah.
How you doing, Nadia?
How are you?
She's good? That's all right. I don't want to put her on the spot.
She said okay.
That's okay. That's a hard thing, but I'm glad to see you all there, safe and sound, your dog as well. And we wish you, as I say, as does the whole world, we wish that your wish for peace comes true, and that you can get your life back. Maria, Asia, Nadia, and the dog. What's the dog's name?
Lionel.
All right,
it's from Elf.
Silmarillion, Tolkien, Theodore, and Fëanor.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the best, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just one of now more than 1 million families and people that have escaped Ukraine. Of course, Maria and her story, all these emotional journeys, the lives upended from this crisis. And next, we want to speak with one of the many brave Ukrainian mothers who escaped the fighting with her 2 children, now safe here in the United States. More special coverage after the break.
On Wednesday, it was normal life for us, and on Thursday, everything changed. And it was so scary because I have 2 small children. I'm lucky, but there are so many people in Ukraine, women especially with children.
National parks are incredibly safe places, but crime will happen.
I remember my wife at home, she's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident. There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is two lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
This is GMA3, what you need to know. GMA3.
A third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon.
It's all about you. Lunchtime on ABC.
War in Ukraine. The humanitarian crisis. Here again, Terry Moran.
Welcome back to our ABC News Live special on this growing humanitarian crisis in the war in Ukraine. While the majority of Ukrainian refugees, more than 1 million now, are fleeing to neighboring countries in Europe, some have made the journey here to the United States. Elena Marchenko and her 2 children were greeted with hugs from her sisters and relatives in Raleigh, North Carolina, after leaving her life and her husband behind in Ukraine. And Elena joins us now from her sister's home, where she's staying until she can travel back to Ukraine. Elena, thank you for being with us. And I just, watching that picture, that moment at the airport, when you saw your sisters waiting for you there, what was that like? What was going through your mind?
It was so emotional for me, and it was a happy time for me and for 2 of my children, because I couldn't believe it that I can make it to them. It was amazing that I was able to do it, because it was a very difficult way here.
And a long road to the United States, but as I say, we're happy you're here. But your life did change overnight when the invasion began, and I understand your journey from your home in the beautiful city of Lviv in western Ukraine, and I guess you walked for a few hours before you were picked up by Polish friends, and then there was an American couple who donated their airline miles, so you flew from Warsaw to Munich, there to Washington, D.C., finally to Raleigh. Can you describe what that journey was like and what was going through your mind as you had to leave your country with your children?
Yes, on Wednesday, February 23, it was a regular day. We live in beautiful, beautiful, very old city in Ukraine. In Lviv, it's West Ukraine. We have lots of tourists. We have beautiful architecture and beautiful places. And I just took my children to the music school. Everything was regular. And on Thursday, February 24, I was wake up by my mom calling me. And she told me, Halina, there's war in Ukraine. And nobody can believe it. We heard about that Putin going to invade Ukraine and there's going to be war. But nobody in Ukraine believed that he will do it.
This experience must seem surreal, but I do want to get to this very difficult fact that by law, your husband was not allowed to leave the country with you because he's a man of fighting age and Ukraine may need him. What have you heard from him? And what message would you have for him and for all the people in Ukraine as they fight this invasion?
Yes, so we decided to leave, and my husband drove me and 2 of my children, and also some relatives from Kyiv, because they spent 3 days and 2 nights in the basement in Kyiv, capital city. So we told them, come to Lviv, it's much safer here, but it's not even safer in Lviv now. So he drove us to the Polish border, and we didn't know what to expect, because the people there are waiting for 2 or 3 days under the sky with children. But I ask God to help us, because I have to try. At least I have to try to escape and to save my children. That
choice that you had to leave your husband behind is just unimaginable. And we are grateful for your safety and your children's safety, and we pray for your husband and for all those in Ukraine. Elena Marchenko, thank you very much for being with us. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, among the most vulnerable refugees are hundreds of thousands of innocent children who could not leave that country, caught in the crisis. Next, we'll speak to Unicef about the threats facing the youngest of those in need and how you can help. More special coverage after the break.
America's #1 news, ABC News. Most watched, most trusted, and streaming live to you anytime, anywhere, and free. This is ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news, free to you 24/7. Watch America's #1 news whenever you want it, wherever you are, anytime. ABC News Live, streaming live and free on all platforms. Right now, with so much at stake, Sunday mornings, this is the place, taking on all the tough questions. Straightforward reporting, no spin, no hype, no bull. Thank you for making ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos the #1 Sunday morning news show versus the competition.
Welcome to This Week.
This is GMA3, what you need to know. GMA3.
A third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon.
It's all about you. Lunchtime on ABC.
Just like crossing the border from cruelty to hospitality, because we were just totally out of our mind, like what do we have to do now? Like from 2 days we were on the roads without any shelter, without any facilities, and they were just treating us like nothing.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the humanitarian crisis in the war in Ukraine. When we see images of war and refugees forced to flee their home country, obviously some of the most heart-wrenching images are those of the children, the innocents packed onto trains, toddlers clutching stuffed animals as they leave behind the only home they've ever known, and often their fathers as well. Well, joining us from Lviv in Ukraine now is James Elder, spokesperson for Unicef. And James, thanks for being with us. And in this crisis, as in all crises really where there are displaced people, it's the sight of the children displaced on the road, not knowing what tomorrow will bring. What risks or dangers do children face, especially in this situation, with over 1.5 million children living in these cities and towns being shelled on a regular basis? But it goes beyond the gunfire and bombing, doesn't it?
Well, quite, Terry. First and foremost, children are being killed. Until this heavy weaponry in civilian areas stops, we're going to keep seeing the loss or the maiming of children. And then it's trauma, Terry. I can't go. I went to this train station, the border, every single day. You cannot turn your head without seeing tears, without seeing a husband and a wife embrace and farewell each other, a dad try and explain to a 7-year-old daughter why he's leaving. Children have been in bunkers. Now they're watching families split up. They're traumatized.
I've heard you recently spoke with a mother who escaped fighting with her newborn daughter. Let's listen to that for just a second.
I want to go home. I want to be with my family. I want Emma to have future. I want to be sure in her future, and I want to know that she will have both parents and she will live, and we will be the same family we were before it all started.
Well, that's the hope, James, and I see you there with her. That is your work. We know there are a lot more refugees like them. What do you want to tell our viewers about what they can do and about what it means for you to do this work at this time?
Yeah, look, Americans have always been extremely generous for this, as we've seen from some of the viewers there, the people on your show. Any support they can. There is no magic pot of money, Terry, for UNICEF. It's all donor funded, and families need that support. So anything, you saw Emma there, she broke down after that in that same hospital. There are children in incubators, children on drips. It's very dangerous for us to try and get those children out.
It's just so wrong to say the obvious, and it reaches out to all of us. And James Elder in Lviv, we want to thank you for the work you're doing there. Thank you for being with us. And we want to tell those of you at home, UNICEF, usa.org/ABC. And we can all do something. We can contribute, we can speak out, we can stand up and be counted in this world crisis right now. And we thank you for watching. ABC News Live will be right here in the days ahead, along with our other ABC News platforms, bringing you the very latest on the crisis in Ukraine, from the unimaginable pain and destruction that's going on there every day to the stories of survival and hope, the people and families impacted by the ongoing devastating war in Europe.
This has been an ABC News Live special.
National parks are incredibly safe places, but crime will happen.
My wife is fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident. There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
He thought he was God.
He's now one of the most vilified men in the world. He is the everyman. Zelensky is Tom Hanks of Ukraine.
The fact that a little nice Jewish boy is 5'7" is showing up this KGB agent in the Kremlin.
What do you say to Americans who see Russia and you not only as a rival, but an unfriendly adversary?
2 men at war.
Which Vladimir will take over. The world is not going to be the same.
It was a scary time. In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles.
There were so many murders happening. You had to have a name for it. Serial killer.
There was a human head in there. This was premeditated evil.
We got this clock. This person's going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
The hottest news in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about.
That I can't wait to see. Honest takes from strong women. We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now. This is the time to speak out. Unafraid to get real.
We stick by our points of view. We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
Tonight, a special edition of World News Tonight. Russia's horrific escalation of attacks inside Ukraine and what authorities said could have been the worst nuclear disaster in Europe. Russian forces shelling the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine, the largest in Europe. Fire breaking out near 6 nuclear reactors. Russian troops seizing the plant after a fierce firefight. And tonight, across Ukraine, the Russian military targeting civilians. A missile strike destroying an apartment building. Reports dozens have been killed. A school bomb, the search for possible victims. And tonight, in the capital of Kyiv, Ukrainians sheltering underground. And new 3D images tonight of that massive Russian convoy outside Kyiv, what the pictures now reveal. And tonight here, Ukraine's President Zelensky issuing a message to the world. Thousands listening in Prague. Zelensky with a warning for all of Europe. If we will fall, you will fall. Ian Pannell standing by live in Kyiv tonight. And Matt Gutman in Lviv with civilians turned fighters, mothers and fathers, and how they're preparing to fight the Russians. Tonight here, the humanitarian emergency worsening. The UN now says more than 1.2 million refugees, half of them children. Tonight, we're on the buses filled with families escaping war. The families who are told to pick which country they'll live in next. And the emotional message tonight to the fathers they left behind. Tonight, the Kremlin launching an alarming crackdown on journalists in Russia. A new law making it a crime to report, quote, fake news, anything the government doesn't agree with. The last thing they played on the air at the independent Russian TV station before they walked out. Back at home tonight, gas prices soaring, jumping 26 cents in just 1 week. But the surprise today when it came to American jobs. In New York City tonight, the major headline on the pandemic and masks. And back here tonight, the powerful image that says it all. A father and a 5-year-old daughter in the window. And a note here about our special right here later tonight.
From ABC News, this is a special edition of World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from the Poland-Ukraine border.
And good evening tonight from the Ukraine-Poland border. The humanitarian crisis unfolding here and the Russian war inside Ukraine escalating tonight. Bombing civilian targets, the horrific images coming in, and the major fire at the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine and in all of Europe for that matter, sparking worldwide alarm for many hours about the potential for a radiation leak. Tonight, Russian forces are now in control of that facility, and international authorities say there has been no leak. But it was a frightening scene, the fierce firefight at that nuclear power plant, the fire just 1,500 feet from 6 nuclear reactors. Emergency crews dousing the flames. By daybreak here, the Russians were in control of that plant. And tonight, attacks on civilian targets mounting. These images from social media, the aftermath of a devastating attack at a high-rise apartment building north of Kyiv. At least 47 people reportedly killed. Tonight, our team in Kyiv, aware of Ukrainians seeking shelter underground in the capital there. And we have new images of that convoy of Russian military vehicles, at one point more than 40 miles long, right now about 17 miles out from the capital, what the new images now reveal. And inside Russia tonight, the Kremlin's assault on free speech, blocking Facebook and Twitter, and a new law. Journalists now facing up to 15 years in prison for so-called fake news. Anyone spreading what the government deems as, quote, false information, potentially for using words like war and invasion. And just tonight, Ukraine's President Zelensky addressing large crowds in Prague and across Europe and the world. And his warning saying, if we will fall, you will fall. We do have several new developments tonight. We begin here with ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell, leading us off again tonight from Kyiv.
Tonight, a ferocious attack on an apartment building just outside Kyiv. In video circulating online. The Russian onslaught taking a terrible toll on civilians. Here, another attack on an apartment complex in Chernihiv, a city north of Kyiv. The aftermath seen in video posted on social media. 47 people killed, according to the emergency services. In another city, west of the capital, a school was destroyed by Russian rockets, according to Ukraine's president, who said the Russians do not stop at anything. It's not clear yet if there were casualties. And tonight, after a fierce firefight, Russian troops have control of Europe's largest nuclear power plant in southeastern Ukraine. The fire ignited at the facility, triggering fears around the world of a potential nuclear disaster. A satellite map of the site shows the flames were located in an area only about 1,500 feet away from the plant's 6 reactors and pools where spent fuel rods are cooled, although not all of them were active. But nuclear scientists calming fears, and this morning the fire was out and radiation levels reported to be normal. The entrance to the plant littered with the debris of the battle fought here. President Zelensky saying today, we survived a night that could have stopped the history of Ukraine, the history of Europe. And in the capital itself, the ever-present dangers escalating today.
These air raids are going off around the city every half an hour or so. We're just heading down into a metro station where a lot of residents are now living and spending the night. It's an eerie sound. And as this war closes in, the fear is that what is going to be followed by is bombardment of the city.
Satellite images show the size of this enormous Russian convoy that's been stalled for days about 17 miles outside the city. The Pentagon says attacks by Ukrainian forces, who've also blown up a bridge along the way, have slowed the Russian advance.
We do believe that the actions by the Ukrainians have in fact stalled that convoy and certainly slowed it down, stopped it in some places.
There are fears Russia's planning to launch an amphibious assault on the Black Sea port of Odessa to cut Ukraine from the sea and international shipping. As he's done in previous wars, Putin has shown every sign he'll continue to attack civilian areas with disregard to the costs. A warning echoed by US Secretary of State Blinken in Brussels.
The suffering we've already seen is likely to get worse before it gets better for as long as Russia pursues these methods.
But tonight, in a message broadcast to thousands of people gathered in cities across Europe, Zelensky called for solidarity with Ukraine in the fight ahead.
That was an extraordinary sight not long ago. Ian Pannell back with us live tonight from Kyiv. And Ian, I know you were underground in the shelters today. Just knowing people are still seeking shelter underground speaks volumes of the fear, the realization of what could still be coming for the capital of Ukraine. And you also have news tonight of more weapons coming from the U.S.?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, thousands of people are essentially cowering underground overnight. Some men, but mainly women, children and the elderly. Many of these bunkers were built to withstand a nuclear war. They're deep underground and people have had to now live this subterranean life. And you're right, extra weapons now heading this way from the United States. Not just these Javelin anti-tank missiles, but also these sophisticated Stingers. These are anti-aircraft missiles, something the administration had been reluctant to send over to Ukraine, but in a mark of support for the Ukrainian government, they're now heading this way. David?
Ian Pannell leading us off tonight from Kyiv. Ian, thank you. Your reporting has just been incredible. Meantime, back here where we are tonight, the humanitarian crisis only worsening. More than 1.2 million refugees now. Half of them are children. Tonight here, we take you on the buses with the families who are told to choose which country they will now live in. And the moving moments here when we ask the children about their fathers back in Ukraine fighting the Russians. They are unmistakable, with sirens on the Ukraine border. The police escort for the buses filled with frightened Ukrainians who are escaping war. Guards securing the site in Poland.